If I could have your attention, please. At this time, we're going to begin the funeral services here in our chapel for Mrs. Brenda Ann Smiley. As we begin the service, I would ask if any of you may have a cell phone or any other noise-making device, please turn them off at this time. Officiating the service here today will be Cantor Rabbi Rob Jury, and he'll begin the service assisting the family in the ancient tradition of Kriya. If I could ask the family members wearing ribbons to please gather near Mr. Smiley. Thank you.
Family, as we gather today with our hearts torn and broken, we follow the ancient tradition of rending our garments. Once upon a time, we would take our clothes, and so people would see that our hearts are torn. We would give them a visible symbol of the inward tear. You all dress much nicer than we used to in the old days, so we're going to use ribbons instead. It's clean enough. But we're going to rend our garments with these ribbons, so everyone who sees you will know that your heart is torn. You will wear them as a signifier of your beloved wife. The children will wear them over their hearts as a signifier of their children. Every moment in life is precious, and so we sanctify this moment even now with a blessing. We say Baruch,
Baruch
Atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam
Dayan
ha'emet.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, the judge of truth. We rend our garments.
Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid ki mimini balemot lachet samach libi v'yagel kvodi av bisari yishkol aveto. I have set the eternal always before me. God is at my side, and I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart can exult, for my soul rejoices. My being is eternally secure. You will not abandon me to everlasting death, nor let your faithful ones see eternal destruction. You show me the path of everlasting life. For eternal fullness is the joy you offer. Enduring happiness is your eternal gift. Death has taken away our beloved Brenda. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. In their laughter, there is remembrance. Lost in sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends and family. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For it was Brenda's love that united us in life, in which death cannot sever. For the gifts of her companionship shared along life's paths, which continue now through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and her mind, which brought us such joy and happiness. These too are a precious remembrance. For all of these and more we give thanks to God. In our grief we turn to our sacred scriptures, looking for that ever new message of God's nearness. I invite you to turn with me in your leaflets as we seek those words of comfort in the 23rd Psalm. We read together, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." When thinking about Brenda, we couldn't help but to think of Proverbs 31, which reads, "A woman of valor, who can find? She is more precious than rubies and sweeter than the sweetest wine." Her husband, he trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. She does him good and never harm all the days of her life. She knows that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity. She faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children, they rise up and they bless her. Her husband, he sings her praises. For many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. In our grief, we cry out like Job, who said, "Adonai naktan, Adonai lakach, Yehishem Adonai mevoach." The Lord has given. The Lord has taken away. It is an ancient people of faith we gather together to say, "Blessed be the name of God." Let us take a moment in silent prayer and personal remembrance to lift up in our hearts some of our dearest memories of Brenda. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable unto you, our rock and our redeemer. Together we say, Amen. The poet wrote, "In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember her. When we are weary and need of strength, we remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember her. So long as we live, she too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. In that remembrance, it's my honor to begin such a remembrance, to invite up Stacy to share some memories of her mom.
Wow. As I look around this room, I see so many faces. All of you, family, friends, friends of family, friends of friends, are all here to honor my mom, our mom, Brenda Ann or Brian Chana. My mom lived an incredible 86 and a half years. As the middle daughter and fourth child of 6, it is an honor for me to speak and share some of the special gifts of life my mom shared with me and the world, and the lessons that bring joy and meaning to my life. My mom is amazing and by far one of the most generous, selfless, and caring persons. She has enriched each of our lives in so many ways. It is impossible to convey a few short paragraphs, but I'll share some of these special gifts with you. My mom is incredibly generous and thoughtful. She never misses an opportunity to buy you a present or a little tchotchke. You come to her house to visit her, she gives you a tchotchke. As you will probably hear from my family, she has birthday, Valentine's, Halloween, and Hanukkah presents bought 10 months in advance, and maybe already on order from Amazon for 2026. This includes gifts for the mailman, nail technician, and hairstylist too. Back when I was a child, I wanted to collect salt and pepper shakers. I had a few sets. Within a year, I had about 40. I used to laugh and tell her that her collection looks complete. I couldn't tell her that I didn't like some of them, so I put them in the back of the cabinet. She loved looking at them when she visited my house. Today, as we honor her life, I wish I didn't pack them all away. I think now I'll take them back out. My mom was selfless. She was always more concerned about everyone else's welfare and not her own. The most recent example happened a few weeks ago. My sister had eye surgery and needed a ride home from the hospital. My mom volunteered to pick her up and drive her back home. My mom had end-stage COPD, congestive heart failure, and other health issues. She required high-flow oxygen 24/7. Walking from her kitchen chair to getting a cup of coffee made her out of breath and dizzy. But being the loving and kind-hearted, caring mom that she was, we set up her portable oxygen tank so she can get in her car, so she can take care of my sister. It shows how selfless she is and how she could never say no to any of her kids. My mom was incredibly friendly and caring. She was a hostess at the famous Barnum and Bagel restaurant in Skokie for more than 20 years. She greeted the patrons with a smile and was always asking how they were, how their family was. As my brother shared, she was more connected than the mayor of Skokie. She knew who was celebrating a birthday, how many children or grandchildren they currently had, who was getting married, and most important, sharing the outcome of the recent Cubs game. She was a huge fan. My mom's incredible caring and loving nature is personified by the way she was always hungry for an update on my life and the lives of all the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren. Sometimes those updates came multiple times a day, and when they didn't, I would receive at least 10 phone calls. What's new? What's new? What's new? She loved hearing any small bits and you would give her. She felt the connection so deeply. Her latest bit of news was whether or not her Dorito chip, her fond nickname for her youngest great-granddaughter, Dorothy, was walking. She is close, I would say, but not quite yet. Maybe today we will be able to say yes. These past 2.5 years have been a true blessing for me. It gave me the opportunity to really spend time with my mom and dad, to slow down and really evaluate what's important in life. As my mom and dad's health declined, I took a more active role in their care. From carpooling my dad to his doctor's appointments, to taking my mom to hers, weekly grocery shopping with mom turned into a list of food she wanted me to buy her. Bringing dinner a few times a week changed to coming every morning to making coffee and making breakfast and hiring a caretaker to help with dinner and other needs as they both had. Her weekly mahjong games with her girlfriends changed to once a month with me and my girlfriends, to being just too tired. She was in the hospital 4 times in September, and I should have really picked up on her decline, but I was just so hopeful. In the end, she shared with her caretaker that she was just too tired and just couldn't fight anymore. But she told her not to tell me. Why? Because she didn't want me to worry. Unfortunately, she invented the worry gene and proudly bestowed that upon me. I worried about her daily, and as she was in the hospital this last time, I knew she was telling me it was time. As much as this hurts and as sad as I am, I'm so grateful to have had this amazing, caring, selfless, generous, and kind woman as my mom. If I take away anything from this experience that I was blessed to have, it would be to let each of you know that it isn't what you get in life, it's what you give. And my mom, Brenda Ann Eisenberg Smiley, gave it her all to everyone, each and every day. Her heart may have been damaged, but it was replaced with so much love for everyone she knew. Please remember her with love, as I will, and as my siblings, children, spouses, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, brother-in-law, cousins will. Hopefully I didn't forget any one of you, because my mom would never forget you. Thank you all for being here in love and support. We are all grateful for all of you.
Beautiful. Now I'd like to invite Danny to come forward and share some memories.
I'll do my best to keep it together. Thank you, Aunt Stacy, for those very kind words that got me too. So, I was thinking all day today and a lot yesterday about what I'd say today. I looked up poetry that didn't seem right. I feel like the best thing I could do to remember her is to remember the times that she made me feel so special. Excuse me. I didn't know Grandma's name was Brenda until I was 7 years old. She used to call me Punim Face, and I just called her Grandma Face, and I didn't realize that she had a different name, and it struck me until I was 7. Someone referred to her as Brenda, and she acknowledged it, and then I got it. But it really never mattered what her name was. She was always Grandma, and she was always so proud of me, and she always would do her best to find what any of us really loved and excelled at, and just encourage us. When I was in middle school, and I was in music, and I was playing saxophone, she would always come to my shows, and she even took me to my first musical downtown. I remember we saw Showboat, and it was just me and her, as far as I remember. Could have been more, but I don't remember a single song from the show. I don't remember much about it, really, but I remember her being there with me. I remember the ride back and forth. I think I'll remember most is that anytime I walked into a room and she was there, she knew. And she was so happy to see me. And I know she felt that way about just about everyone here, and that's so amazing, because there's so many people here that she loved so much and made her feel so special, and she made us feel the same way. I'm going to love her forever. I'm always going to remember her. Thank you.
Beautiful. It's now my honor to invite up Josh and Matt and the rest of their entourage, Zach and Chase.
They give you extra water? That's good.
People here.
You go first.
We go oldest to youngest, I guess.
All right, I'll go first then.
The youngest to oldest. Don't look at me first.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Grandma had a wonderful way of not having any of us worry, but then always doing things for us. And I learned this most in the last 6 months to a year, maybe going back to last winter, when Grandma started slowing down. It was negative 10 degrees outside, snowing, icy. I wouldn't even let Carly go outside. And Grandma's like, I'm going to take my garbage out. And Mom calls me and says, Grandma's going to take her garbage out. I need you to go over there and take her garbage out. So I get there, and Grandma's like, oh, Matthew, so excited to see you. What are you doing here? I'm like, Grandma, I'm here to take your garbage out. She's like, you didn't have to come take my garbage out. I'm going to take it out. And I said, Grandma, you're not allowed to take your garbage out anymore. She's like, well, if you're going to take it out for me, let me get you something. Do you want a pop? Do you need any money? And so every Sunday or Monday morning, depending when I got there, I came over for a pop and to take out the garbage and check in. And while Carly was pregnant, Grandma would ask me, how's that baby doing in there? And then after Dorothy came, Carly would say, or Grandma would say, let me see a picture of that baby. And it was just very special. So just always remember how she just wanted to not be a burden, but then also wanted to do everything for everyone else. The other memory was a couple months ago, a cabinet door fell, and Mom calls me, the cabinet door fell. So I go over there to put the kitchen cabinet door back on, and I screw it up, and Grandma's like, oh, great, thank you. I'm like, so what about all the other doors? She's like, no, they're all fine. They're all fine. And I'm like, I'm going to check. Sure enough, they weren't fine. Screws are falling out. They're all loose. So I take 5. She's like, you don't need to do any more. I'm like, Grandma, it's okay. So I'm here I'll take 5 minutes. I screw all the doors back in. No more are going to fall on your head. And she goes, okay, so do you need any money? So those memories I'll take with me forever. But I'm also going to need some help because there's some things Grandma did for everyone that we might need some volunteers I'm not the best at. Birthdays. I can't remember anyone's birthday, but Grandma knew everyone's. So we need to step up. We went through this last night trying to figure out the order of the grandchildren. It took us 20 minutes. To help remember everyone's birthday, make sure they get a card and a phone call. Gifts. As Mom said, Grandma already has her Hanukkah shopping done for this year. So 2026, we're probably going to need some help. She already has her Valentine's Day stuff, but she always had the gifts. And someone's going to have to buy the popcorn tins.
Thought we talked about we weren't going to do that.
With no more, I like the popcorn tins.
I have 3 from last year too.
And then, I guess most important is pictures. So it started out, you'd send Grandma a photo, and she single-handedly kept the Walmart's 1-hour photo in business. So you'd text her a picture, and she would bring it there, and she would get it printed within the hour. If she got it to her phone, I guess she has some like auto buy and print from Walgreens. She has a special app that no one else has. Then she learned about Facebook. So she would just go on your Facebook, she would comment on your picture, and then have it printed. Thank goodness she didn't figure out Instagram. So I know she has many, many books of pictures and photos of all of us. And so that's another way we can honor Grandma and getting the old school 4x6 photos in a frame or in a picture book. So. You go. They don't want
All right, well, Matt said almost everything I was going to say.
yeah.
And I probably should have visited Grandma more. I didn't get any $20 from him. But I think the 2 most recent things that come is, I know Matt just talked about the Facebook. And yeah, Grandma got on Facebook, got all these beautiful pictures. And the first time I ever got one, it was kind of amazing. It was for Hanukkah. And it was a big present. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then so she ended up getting she blew up like a dance picture of Ying and myself, and it was like a 6x7 picture. I mean, this thing was huge to put on the wall. Still have that, so I don't know about the 4x6s, but. And then just recently, this is what really got me with Grandma. She is so giving and amazing, and we just got some gifts. I think we just opened something for Violet, and it was very sweet, and it happened to be like a Halloween pumpkin. It was like 2 weeks ago. And Violet's like, what is this? Can I have batteries for this? And Grandma was just always so giving and amazing, and even to the end when I got to see her the last time, the first thing she said was, I got it, where are all our Valentine's Day gifts? And I think that was just something that just always emulated Grandma's so generous and giving.
Kept it nice and short.
Took up everyone's time.
I think, so I've never really heard Grandma swear. She would never really swear that much. But the first time I think I ever heard her swear, I'm at her house in the middle of January visiting. There's a bunch of gifts on her table. I'm like, Grandma, like, what are all of these for? And she goes, they're for Christmas. And I'm like, Christmas just passed. She goes, no, they're next year. Do you know how many effing gifts I have to buy? Holy early.
That's it.
One trick pony here.
All right.
Rabbi said we had 8 minutes, so Matt took 7. So
I'll keep it very, very, very simple as we can. The topic that we're all here to figure out is Grandma's favorite. Okay? I'm here to settle the debate. All right? It's once and for all. You are all her favorite. In the moment that you're talking to her, you are her favorite. Whether you're on the phone, in person, or even in the photograph that she's looking at. In that moment, you're now her favorite. Okay? So we all have that piece that we can hold against each other and with each other on who Grandma's favorite really was amongst the males. We know who the favorite female grandchild was. Okay? We can concede that. But when it comes... But like has been said, from holidays to birthdays and any other occasion, you can always know that you are getting a gift or a phone call from someone, and that was Grandma. As much as I have brothers and I have parents, there was always someone that I look forward to, and it was Grandma.
Thanks.
So the few stories that I have, the earliest memories of Grandma at the Skokie house is playing in the basement with the pinball machine with my brothers. This is before your time. Crawling through the crawl space, messing up Grandpa's stuff. Every now and then we hear a ruckus Grandpa telling us to cool it, knock it off before he comes down and knocks our heads. So then when more chaos would happen and when we would try to leave Grandma's, we wouldn't be able to find my brother's shoes. And it turned into this big old catastrophic event, where are Zach's shoes?
still to this day.
Everyone is frantically looking, and no one seems to want to ask me until someone looks at me and I have this big old cheesy smile on my face, like, I know where they are. I trot over to Grandma's freezer, open up the freezer, pull them out of the bottom freezer drawer.
And how old were you? 4.
You probably know better than I was. But memories like this I'll have forever because of my grandma, and that's all I have. Grandma, I love you.
Beautiful. Today we mourn the loss and celebrate the life of a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, a friend, the life of Brenda. Brenda was born on the north side of Chicago, graduated from the fabled Senn High School before attending college at both Drake and then National Louis until she got what she was looking for out of college, her MRS. Then she said, enough of that. She was the hostess with the mostest. Wherever you were, whether you remember her from some earlier time as even I do, at the Barnum and Bagel, knowing everybody and everything about everybody, or from Lindsay's Coffee Shop, or the Moosehead Bar and Grill, the Orrington Hotel, Maddie's Wayside Inn, wherever you wanted to be, there she was to greet you and make you feel special just by seeing you. Make you feel seen and remembered. She was one of the most popular people you'll meet anywhere. You said Skokie, but I'm going to say anywhere. Because once you met her, you met a friend for life. She was musically oriented, involved in amateur show groups, putting on plays at the local theater, everything from South Pacific and Guys and Dolls to Brigadoon. She would bring those rehearsals home to that house in Skokie where she would practice and they would rehearse. They'd get the kids in on it whether they wanted to be or not. Michael, you specialized in lip syncing out of tune even then. And Mom loved it. She loved every moment of it. As long as there was singing and music and show tunes, life was her oyster. Her favorite was South Pacific. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. She made her kids sing everything and anything. If you're gonna drive up to Nippersink, you're gonna sing in 5-part harmony in the key of Q. She loved it. She was creative. She was fun. She lit up a room. When the kids were at camp, she would write letters upside down and backwards. So you'd have to go over to the mirror to hold them up to the mirror to figure out what was she trying to tell you. And if you couldn't figure it out, you'd just rip it up and throw it out because if you couldn't crack the code. But the mirror was the code. She met the love of her life, her Larry, when they were set up by her aunt. So Larry was delivering meats from the local deli to the restaurant, and yeah, that's right. And they were set up, and it was a setup from the start, because you knew once you met her that it was over. This was going to be the love of your life. That first look, that first glance, those early dates. You decided to honeymoon in Nolens to show her the city that you knew best and to share with her what it was to see a world of adventure and love. The two of you had more love in this world than the world could contain. So much beautiful love. She especially loved going on vacations together where she would send you fishing and she could stay at home and hear what was going on with everyone else. It was a delight of love. Your love knew no bounds, and your love together brought strength through all of these years of love and challenge. 52 wonderful and terrific years together. This family in this room should be so inspired by that love. To know Brenda was to love her. She loved to laugh. She loved to catch up. She never missed a birthday or a holiday or an opportunity for a gift. She ordered those gifts years in advance, so when your great-great-great-grandchildren have their bar or bat mitzvah, don't worry, the gift's already on order. It'll be there. All she ever wanted to do was catch up on what was going on in your life. Whether that was hearing the update of every day, whether it was Caitlin who always made sure to update so she could share with you the update on Caitlin's life because she updated her daily, whether it was the challenges you were hearing. She listened. She understood. She gave love and advice, and if you're lucky, $20. She loved to see her family happy, her family connected. Every time was about family. She took the opportunity during the holidays to gather everyone together in Skokie, in the house where everyone could be hustling and bustling and trying not to break all the things, but then coming back. She fed you like she was feeding an army with amazing brisket and matzo ball soup and really bad vegetables. Just like you would in the army, boiling them until there was nothing left. But she did it out of love to make sure you enjoyed your time together and you always left full. She didn't want anyone to worry about her. She wanted to be the chief worrier in charge. She wanted to make sure you knew she was thinking about you, always thinking about others, giving to others, caring for them more than herself. She said she was fine, even when she wasn't, because she didn't want you to worry about her. We know this last couple of years has been a challenge. And this last year in particular, with the multiple stays in the hospital, downright difficult at times. But through it all she cared about was everyone else. She cared if the nurse had stubbed her toe, was she okay the next day? She cared, Larry, how are you doing at home, and were things doing okay? Were you eating well? Was there enough for you? She cared about each of her kids, and were they getting enough time with one another, and was there enough love for everyone there? She cared about the grandkids and the great-grandkids. That's all she worried about the entire time. We know that if love were enough, things would be different even today. In our broken world, love was simply not enough. We struggle now to hold on to her with open arms, keeping close to us the joy and the love that she brought into this world. She now joins all who have gone before her into the eternal life of the heavenly realm. But here in this world, she leaves behind that legacy, a legacy of love. Brenda leaves behind a legacy of love to her beloved husband of 52 wonderful and terrific years, her Larry. To him, she is more precious than rubies, sweeter than the sweetest wine. Mom leaves behind a legacy of love to her loving children, to Dr. Michael and his loving wife, Dr. Kimberly, to Leslie, to Kevin and his loving wife, Justine, to Stacy and her loving husband, Stan, to Sabrina, to Charles and his loving wife, Erica. Mom loved each and every one of you so very, very much. Grandma leaves behind a legacy of love to her adoring grandchildren. Each of you know who was the favorite. To Daniel and his loving wife, Allison. To Zachary and his loving wife, Ying. To Joshua and his loving wife, Julie. To Dr. Caitlin and her loving husband, Eric. To Matthew and his loving wife, Carly. To Zoe. To Matthew. To Ari. To Chase. To Nikolai, to Echo, to Jude, to Gus, to Sienna, to Viviana, to Felix, to Incio, each of whom had their own special relationship with Grandma. As a great-grandma, she leaves behind a legacy of love to her cherished great-grandchildren, Ivory, Hero, Violet, Mila, and Dorothy. It says that children are the crown of your elders, but great-grandchildren, let me tell you, those are the jewels she wore in her crown and on every photo she would share. She leaves behind a legacy of love to all of her family and her friends, so many gathered in this room and online at this moment. In the words of Rabbi Milton Steinberg, we say, may God help us to understand that grief and love, they go hand in hand. That the pain which a loss inflicts is the measure of a love that is stronger than death. May we learn to hold on with open arms to the love that she had for each of us, and the love we will always have for her, so that we bring honor to her memory. May her memory forever be a blessing. Together we say, Amen. We come to the El Malei Rachamim, the prayer that ushers Brenda's soul up into heaven. I invite you to rise in your seats or in your heart in honor of her soul. רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצאים מנוחה תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים טהורים גזר חרקים המסירים את נשמת ברית נחת נפת שמחו שלחה לעולמו. רחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ביצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our beloved Brenda, known in the house of Israel as Brina Chana Bat Simcha, who has entered into eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life, for God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. Together we say, Amen.
Please be seated. This concludes the service here in our chapel. The interment will take place immediately at the family's plots at West Lawn Cemetery, 7801 West Montrose in Norwich. Following the interment today until 8 p.m., the family will be receiving calls of condolence and sitting Shiva at the Rosen Residence, 1350 Horizon Trail in Wheeling. That information's on the inside of the funeral service folder you should have received. If you did not receive one, they are available as you depart. I also ask that you please note the family will also be sitting Shiva at the same location Monday from 4 p.m. till 8 p.m. Any questions related to Shiva? There is a Shiva coordinator listed on the information as well. I'd also ask you to please take note that the family has asked that memorial contributions be made to Congregation Anshe Tikva. Again, that information is on the service folder. For those of you watching the service remotely, all of this information is on the website you are currently on. For those of you going in procession with the family, the procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please make sure you have an orange funeral safety sticker. That sticker should be placed in the front passenger side of your windshield. We would also ask that you please have your bright headlights and flashing hazard lights on at all times. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing magnetic flags on the tops of the vehicles throughout the procession. As we drive in procession today, please drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you at all times. We want to avoid any large spaces or large gaps, particularly as we're passing through the intersections. Serving as pallbearers today will be some of the grandchildren. As I call your names, if you'd please step forward. Danny, Caitlin, Zach, Josh, Matt, Chase, Ari, and Jude. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise as Mrs. Smiley, family, and Rabbi Cantor are escorted from the chapel. Thank you.
I did. She was so loud.
Ask everyone to go directly to your cars. The family will not be greeting at the funeral home any longer today. Thank you.